Like really from the hood though. Like what he keep.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe. And go to my Facebook page to get yourself a t-shirt, a koozie, or a license plate. Stickers are available. Just send me a message. We'll swap PayPals. We'll make it happen. So recently I've been getting a lot of messages, probably about like 40 or 50 messages about that little 4.3 V6 I built to go in the gray Goose S10. And everybody's kind of wanting to know what the build specs are and everything. So I'm going to break it down for you. Also, I'm going to talk to you about the chassis setup and stuff in it to let you know kind of why the little motor did so good as it did. So let's start off with the truck. So it was a full weight S10, steel doors, steel fenders, everything, full chassis, everything. I had a quick performance 9-inch Ford with a 430 gear set posi. And I had Calvert, cow track bars and a split spring setup with Calvert 9-way Rancho shocks on the back. I had Calvert 9010 shocks in the front and Moroso G-body springs with 2 coils cut out for the springs in the front, but it still had the factory A-arms, a 2-inch Beltec drop kit, and 2.5-inch dual exhaust with Boiler Pro SX mufflers. I ran a B&M light truck mega shifter. The transmission was a turbo hydromatic 350 home built with a TCI valve body and TCI rebuild kit, shift kit, and a B&M 3600 stall converter. Now, I went on later on and put a Summit nitrous converter in it. The B&M nitrous converter was really loose for the street, and it really killed my mile an hour at the track. So when I switched over to the Summit brand nitrous converter for a turbo 350, I actually picked up a few mile an hour. So you guys might want to do that instead of using the B&M brand. Use the Summit or Jegs brand converters. They actually work pretty good for your lower power applications. All right, so the little 4.3 V6. So it wasn't anything special. It was just a decent little combo that just kind of worked. A lot of it was gearing, transmission, and converter, and nitrous. So the nitrous side, I was running a NX Hitman plate kit with a 200 shot. I did run a 150 shot, but a 200 shot most of the time. On the motor, the little motor made 240 horsepower on the dyno to the tires and like 320 foot-pounds of torque. And with the nitrous, it made 460 something horsepower, I believe, and 540 something foot-pounds of torque, I believe. I can't remember right offhand. And I thought I'd saved the dyno sheets, but evidently I didn't because they ain't there anymore. So I looked through my phone, I couldn't find them. So anyway, all of that was somewhere in between 6,000 and 6,500 RPM. So the little 4.3. I started out with a later model Vortec one-piece seal block with the balance shaft in it. I used a Melling high volume oil pump, stock pickup, stock pan. I did use the stock crankshaft that was balanced and a Pioneer harmonic balancer, and a stock flywheel. The rods were the stock 5.7 rod that was shot peened and balanced and with ARP 2000 bolts. Now, what I would have done different is I would have ran a 6-inch rod in this motor. I believe the dwell at the top would have been perfect. It would have given me a little bit more power, I believe. And on top of that, I believe that I would have had enough compression height on the piston to run nitrous effectively. I mean, I wasn't spraying a lot, but it was enough to kind of get me worried about the compression height. But 6-inch rod, I still would have been real good. So I would have done that. And then I ran an Icon Forged piston by Keith Black at 4.030 bore size. Now, I looked online. I couldn't find the exact piston, so I'm going to put a piston up in the, I'm going to show you a picture of the piston that is very similar with 2 valve reliefs that yielded like 10.25 to 1 compression ratio with the heads I was running. Now, the heads were a stock casting number 113 Vortec head from a later model 4.3 V6 that I hand ported, gasket matched on the intake side, and I ported on the exhaust side. I did run a 160 exhaust valve, and I did soften the chamber some, but I cleaned everything up real nice. And then I ran the valve springs for the camshaft. I ran a 1.52 comp cams, needle bearing, rocker arm, and chromoly push rods. Now, tech tip, I did run the stock push rods for a while, and they were breaking, like quite a bit actually. They were breaking quite a lot. So I found out that they flex. They were flexing as the lift of the cam was coming and things like that. So I ended up putting a chromoly push rod in it, and then I didn't have any more problem. The camshaft was a custom cut Lanati hydraulic roller voodoo camshaft. Now I will put the camshaft up a picture of the camshaft up here. The only difference between what I did and the cam that I show you is that I had it cut on a 108 intake center line and a 112 LSA. And it was super street friendly, super nitrous friendly. It had great street manners, man. It didn't load up, had plenty of power. It was a great camshaft. I would run it again, time and time again. I'd run it in a traditional 350 any day of the week, 4.3, it doesn't matter. Like I said, then I've already told you about the heads. I ran a Elder Brock Performer intake, because that's the only intake you can buy for a 4.3 within some kind of budget range. I did match port it to the heads, and I ran a 2-inch Wilson manifolds spacer and a 600 Holley double pumper carburetor. MSD ignition, I ran a MSD billet distributor and a 6530 programmable box with the step 1 retard, and I did lock out the distributor, and that worked out real good. The little motor made peak power probably around 6,200 RPM. The cam was good probably till 6,600, but the little short runner intake performer intake really didn't do very good in the higher RPM range. That's why it made so much low end power. And that's just my theory on it. Even with the spacer, I ran a 160 degree thermostat in it, man. It never run hot. Man, I'd run 93 pump minute, no problem. Never had that, because the chamber on the heads were the heart-shaped combustion chamber, so they were the fast burn heads, the fast burn combustion chamber. And I ran a 194, 160 valve in it. The one people say to put a 202 valve in those heads, but that's not true. You don't get any more benefit from the flow by running a 202 valve in those heads. You might as well just stay with the 194 valve. And that's pretty much it, guys. I ran a basic water pump, basic radiator. I mean, the truck was just a basic pickup truck. The best I ever ran with it was a 1092, I think at 116 on a 200 shot. It would run 1110s, 1120s all day long on a 150 shot on 93 pump gas. I pulled 7 degrees of timing out of it for the 200 shot, and I pulled 5 degrees of timing, I believe, something like that for the 150 shot. And you guys got to forgive me that my mind's a little hazy, because it's been a long time since I ran that combo. Somebody made me an offer I couldn't refuse on the motor and transmission combo, and then I ended up selling the body to my brother. The motor and transmission now lives in a rat rod that some guy has, and it's just out there beating up in eastern North Carolina in some kind of wild rat rod. So. But anyway, guys, that is the story of the 4.3. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Go to my Facebook page and let me know if you want some merchandise. I'll send it to you via mail, and we'll get our PayPals. We'll hook it up. We'll get it done. And I want y'all to have a good one.
What?
Oh boy, smell like the drag strip, son.